If you are a driven and ambitious woman like me, what I'm about to tell you is going to 10x every area of your life. The biggest mistake that I see women making is in their desire to level up, they keep burning down the ladder. Now, the biggest trap of this is that the first couple of times you're going to do this, it's actually going to work for you. So you keep thinking, okay, if this has worked for me, I'm just going to keep on doing this. So hi, my name is Mina Irfan, and I'm an 8-time certified life coach and spiritual mentor. And I have been able to achieve and manifest every single thing that I've desired in my life, my soulmate marriage, the kind of children that I want to have, the legacy and impact that I want to build on this planet. And as someone that is a decamillionaire, created 8 figures in my business and now scaling to 9 figures, this is the most important thing I can say to you. You're going to have to learn to let your blessings stack. So in order to explain this framework and this formula to you, I have to take you back to my mother, Sheena. So my mom, Sheena, was an immigrant to this country. And when she came here, she was very ambitious, very driven. And in the beginning, early stages of her life here in the US, my dad was fully providing for her. And they were living kind of a very average life. And she quickly learned that if she wanted to get ahead, if she wanted to really have a beautiful life for her kids, that she was going to learn how to do things the American way. She's going to have to learn business. She's going to have to get more educated. And so she went to school and she got into the cycle where she would get education, do something for a while, learn the next step, go get more education, do that thing, learn the next step, go get more education, do the next thing. And she was moving on up the success ladder until she started, without realizing it, burning down the ladder to go to the next thing. And what happened in my mother's life is by the time she was in her early 40s, she had gotten into real estate. She started off as a nurse, went into many different businesses, burned each of them down, moved to the next thing. And so in her early 40s, she found herself in real estate. Now, she was very successful in real estate because of her feminine relationship skills. She sold the feminine way, and she was like a go-getter. She was willing to put in the hours, even at the expense of her own health. And so she did that, but that mentality of burning things down and moving to the next thing never went away. So in the last few years before my mother's cancer diagnosis, she was earning $450,000 a year. This 4'11" woman that came from a third world country, didn't have the best education, got education as she went along here, was making $400,000 to $450,000 a year. But here's the thing. By the time she got diagnosed with cancer and then passed away, she had nothing to show for it. Absolutely nothing. She was never able to actually build the legacy that she desperately desired. My mom was someone that believed that every generation should amass so much wealth and knowledge and pass that on to the next generation. That's how the rich get richer, is that they create legacy. They create empires, right? But this one move of hers of constantly burning things down to move on to the next thing, while it served her in the beginning stages, became the reason that she wasn't able to actually fulfill her desire. In my teenage years and in my 20s, I learned from my mom. I got into real estate with my mom and I was learning her amazing sales skills. Oh my God, she was the best of the best when it came to sales. And the reason for that is because of her feminine communication and her relationship building. And so I also got into the cycle of burning things down and then moving on to the next thing, burning the thing down and then moving on to the next thing. It wasn't until I got married to my husband and I started noticing something really different. I noticed that the people that had real actual wealth, who had an actual empire, who had actually created legacy that they could now pass down to their children, they weren't arsonists like us. Meaning they did not burn down, they bridged. That meant that when they moved up, they raised the floor with them. They didn't burn down the ladder. They just went to the next step and then the next step and then the next step. And this became the key to my success. And I stopped burning things down and I started bridging and basically stacking my blessings. This is a topic that is really near and dear to my heart. And every single time my close proximity mentorship clients in Kainath ask me about, should I burn this down and do this other thing? Or they ask me, how did you build your legacy? How did you create wealth for 7 generations ahead? It's because I stopped burning things down. Now, if you identify as a huntress, meaning you are a very driven and ambitious woman, unfortunately, the 10% of the human population that has that genome, we also have that tendency to want to constantly burn things down and then move on to something new and shiny. And we're going to have to learn to stop doing this. I recently started talking about this concept more publicly on YouTube, and someone left a comment that reminded me so much of my mom, Sheena, and I decided we needed to address this deeply. And she said, I also have the tendency of burning things down and moving on to the next thing. However, I'm always moving on to something bigger and better. And that, my dear, is the biggest trap. Because the first couple of times that you are going to burn things down, especially when you're new to learning, growth, wisdom, entrepreneurship, even relationships, it will look like, oh, that's so good. I should ditch that and move on to the next relationship. Or I should burn that career and move on to business. Or I should, burn that business and have another one. The first couple of times you do it, you will have success. Because at that time, you don't have a lot to bridge. It won't appear like there's a lot to lose, but eventually this is the exact pattern that will lead you to being in your 40s, 50s, and 60s and looking and saying, oh my God, I did all of this stuff. I worked so hard my entire life. I have so much education and I have nothing to show for it. So like I said in the previous video, it's really cute when you're a teenager in your 20s to be burning things down and moving on to the next thing. It's not so cute as you get older. So we're going to have to learn to have that staying power. And instead of burning down, I want you to start looking at life as bridging, taking what you already have, all of the blessings that you have worked so hard, all your current education, all of your lessons, all of your wisdom, and learning to stack it to the next thing. So we're never starting at ground zero. I don't want you to be in the mindset of starting at ground zero. I want you to get into the mindset of taking what I already have and adding to it, refining it, building on top of it. In fact, if you would like more help on this, I recently just announced the after party of my Desires, Dollars, and Divine Union class, which already has 4 classes in there, but I'm adding the final class in there called Bridge into Blessings, and it's happening live on September 3rd, 2025. So if you're watching this now, you can grab it and join live, but if you're watching this after September 3rd, 2025, then you can still grab that training linked in the description box and then join us for the recording. Now, there are some deeper problems that can occur from this constant burning down that I do want to talk about because it's really important for me as someone that a lot of people look up to bring this to the conversation. However, it will trigger some people. So I want you to brace yourself. I want you to know that whatever I'm about to say, I'm saying it with so much love, and I'm saying it as someone that has made those same exact mistakes. And now at my age, with my experience, with the level of community and the level of global impact that I've had on so many people from different nationalities, different backgrounds, different age groups, different religions, and with my background in evolutionary psychology, I want you to listen up. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is if you have a problematic family member, or if you, let's say that your family, your tribe is difficult, or you're not getting along, or you find that they're maybe interfering with your life, this need to burn down, this can also manifest as a need to separate from your tribe. I get it. Sometimes family members can have annoying habits. Sometimes family members can lecture us. Sometimes family members can have really judgmental views of our life. And I totally get that mindset of wanting to isolate from our family. Trust me, I know that. As someone, I was the first one on both sides of my family, my dad's family and my mom's family, to be born in the United States. And that came with blessings and curses that I can't even begin to reveal to you, okay? And so I was constantly judged. I was constantly nitpicked. I was constantly tore apart. I was also envied, right? There was a lot of jealousy of being the first to be born in the United States. If you're an immigrant or a child of an immigrant, you know how that goes. And because of that, I found myself constantly wanting to isolate from my family and cut people off and go into like that lone wolf archetype. But let me tell you, the way that we are wired, the way that we have been groomed for millions of years, our DNA thrives in community. Our DNA thrives in living in tribes and family units. And one of the most dangerous things you can do as a woman is cut yourself off from your family. Now, I know what you're hearing. I know what you're saying in your mind. There's going to be those extreme outliers where the family is so extremely toxic that you have no choice to protect your life by separating from them. But let me tell you the truth, after coaching tens of thousands of women worldwide, that's not the norm. The truth is that a lot of people are falling into this Western narrative that everyone in our family is toxic, that everyone in our family is narcissist, and they're separating themselves from their birth families and from their extended families. And what is happening on the other end is the price that they're paying is far too great, far too great. They're going into deep depression. They're being targeted by predators that know that there's no one to protect you, that there's no one there looking out for you. They're going into deep isolation wounds. The cost of being cut off from your birth family is so huge that honestly, in most cases, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. We have clients that come in that are super annoyed at their family members for various things, and we also have clients come in that have absolutely zero family, no one. And let me tell you, the psychological damage and the consequences of people that have zero family is so much greater than the people that are annoyed at their parents or they hate their brother. So in most of the cases, we're able to help the families. And what we recommend in that situation is, I get it. Your dad's annoying, your mom lectures you, your brother has different opinions about what you should be doing with your life, but the consequences of actually cutting them off completely are so far greater. And here's the thing, babe. As a woman that's driven, as a woman that's ambitious, you understand cons and pros. You understand risk, right, and reward. You understand that there's benefits and costs to every single thing. And so if you can help it in your life, if you're like right at that point where you're like, should I cut off my entire family? In 99.9% of the cases, I'm gonna say no. Don't cut them off. The protection that you have, whether it's a psychological protection or actual physical protection, as you get married, as you build a business, of having a family, oh my gosh, there is nothing, you can't buy that. You can't buy it, you can't fake it. So keep your family around. There is other ways to energetically protect yourself, but cutting off all of your family members, your dad, your mom, your siblings, your cousins, your aunts and uncles, is probably not the solution. This is also one of those burning down and starting over thing that I don't recommend that you do. I totally understand that this is a very triggering conversation. This is why most people that understand this are not publicly talking about this. They're afraid of being canceled. They're afraid of people getting mad at them. But after, I just can't live with myself after having coached over 42,000 women in my paid courses and private coaching containers, knowing that this is something that is propaganda, having you completely cut off from your family over little itty bitty annoyances, it's not worth it. Now, when I look at the most successful people from my culture, I'm Pakistani American, and Pakistani people really, really, really understand relationships. It's not because they've cracked them some code. It's just that they never evolved out of that tribal unity that we always had. Pakistani people are highly educated. Pakistani people are very modern, but they never evolved out of burning down their families. And the ones that are starting to do that now, the consequences are so great that you can see it immediately. They haven't gotten so far ahead like in the Western culture. And the one thing that I've noticed in the women that are really successful in my culture is that even when their aunts are difficult, even when their dad doesn't agree with them, even when they have to deal with really difficult in-laws, they learn how to navigate those very difficult dynamics. Meaning they stretch their container, they improve their communication skills, they learn feminine intelligence from their own moms and sisters and aunts and cousins and grandparents versus completely isolating. And the few that have completely isolated, the data hasn't been good. And so if you can learn to be more femininely intelligent, better communication skills, better boundaries, that is going to serve you so much better than completely isolating yourself. The truth is, there's a lot of evil people out there. There's a lot of predators out there. And even good people will start to take advantage of you if you are a woman that presents herself as having no one to back you up, no one to shield you, no one. It's just, I'm going to be talking more about this in my private containers because I know this is a very triggering topic, but people psychologically see you as almost, I don't know, like discardable when you show up as if no one cares about you, as if you're isolated, as if no one's going to check up on you. And it's a scary world out there. And so I would not be going quickly to burn everything down, okay? This is a very Western narrative that everyone is a narcissist, everyone is toxic. If you look closer, and like I said, I've coached tens of thousands of people, most people are not narcissists. Most people are not toxic. The problem is that we no longer have the relationship skills that we need to be able to navigate difficult situations. And the truth is every time a difficult relationship or a difficult task presents yourself and you have to run away and you have to burn it down and you have to cut ties, are you ever actually going to be stacking anything? If you can't deal with your difficult mother, how are you going to deal with difficult clients, right? If you can't deal with your difficult cousin, how are you going to deal with difficult life situations that come with being able to hold more money and more business and more clients in your life? So these are all transferable skill sets. And so I personally think that we need to have better education around relationship skills, on grit, on resilience, on expanding our capacity versus just constantly running from situation to situation, because there's a cap, right? When you start something new, the problems of that thing are small, right? As you advance, the game gets harder. Think of it as a video game, right? Level 16 is going to be harder. It's going to require more skill sets from you, more capacity from you than level 2. But if every time you start a game and you keep ditching it at level 2, but you have your eyes set out on the legacy and the empire that people that have been to higher levels, you're never going to make it. And so we need to stop burning things down, okay? Here's another one that I'm going to talk about, and this is going to trigger you as well, but I have to say it, okay? So brace yourself. I love you so much. Okay, so here's the next one. I love you so much. Women that come to me that have perfectly beautiful marriages, okay? Two normal human beings married to each other, living a normal life. And they say, I'm feeling bored, I'm feeling off, I'm feeling like I want to go find myself. Should I leave him? No. If you are bored and you need to find yourself, the reason is because you're not feeling alive. You're not living on the edge. You've fallen into patterns of doing the same damn thing that you've always been doing. You're not doing anything that stretches you. If you burn that down to start fresh, you're gonna fall into the same trap that we've been talking to, okay? In the very few situations where he's actually not the right guy for you, even then, I don't want you to leave. I want you to start feeling alive in your marriage right now. I want you to start finding yourself in your marriage, because that way you really know the truth. I have had so many clients that have come and found my work and went through the courses and the coaching only to realize, oh my God, I should have not ended my marriage, because there was nothing wrong with him. And now they're in the dating market and they're looking at the hot mess that is currently going on, and they're thinking, I had a perfectly amazing partner and I burned that down when all I needed was a little bit of aliveness, a little bit of inner work, a little bit of direction and values in my life. So wherever you are right now, if you're feeling the urge to burn something down, stop it. Stop it. Don't burn it down. Stop, pause. There is a way to bridge things, stack your blessings, stack your wisdom, and that is actually the way to build a legacy and empire in your life, okay? So if you would like more information, you want to learn how to do this based on your desires, join me on September 3rd in Desires, Dollars, and Divine Union, and I'll see you there. I love you so much.